Hello everyone, I'm Robert Hisee. Most of you will know me, but for you that don't, I'm the UK's #1 unconscious mind therapist. And welcome to the MindKite Podcast. Hello everyone, I'm Robert Hisee, and we're back at the MindKite Podcast. I'm joined today with Scotty Stacks from the Manor. If you haven't heard of them, have a listen. They're unreal. They're the next big thing. They've been coming up on the underground scene for ages. They're going to be like the new Stone Roses, the Sex Pistols. They've got that vibe about them. People can't get to them, you know. They don't tell you where they're gigging till just hours before. And he's also South Londoner, so it's nice to have a South Londoner on the phone. So thank you very much for joining us today, Scotty. Appreciate it,
Sweet, mate. Thanks for having me, bruv.
Thank you. So yeah, let's tell us a bit about yourself, and we're going to the band later. Let's talk about Scotty Stacks. Where'd you come from? What was it like for you as a kid growing up in South London?
So I'm from Crystal Palace, born and raised. Stone's throw from Selhurst Park.
Yeah, got that in there, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's really.
I'm joking. Funnily enough, I did go to school in New Cross.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so I got a load of my mates were all Millwall fans.
Oh,
but I guess growing up in South London, that's always going to be the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
Grew up South London, born and raised. Started making music, like rapping and that, all my life really. Like secondary school, we used to spit bars on like grind beats and that after school and like in the playground on the phone.
And who was you listening to at the time? Who was it you was?
I like obviously all the East London guys like Wiley, Dizzy, Skepta and all that sort of D-double, Newham Generals, Crazy Tits, that generation of people. But then same way all like whether from New Cross or like where I was school in New Cross, all like the South London, lot P Money, Little D, Fatal Assassin, South Soldiers, all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant.
So yeah, was spitting bars. Never went. I should have gone uni, but I got caught cheating in a law exam, so I didn't end up going uni.
Which caught cheating.
Yeah, which is a touch really, because if I went uni, I don't know if I'd have ended up doing the Manor. And then so went through a load of shit sales jobs, finance jobs.
If you never went in the Manor, if you would have gone to uni, what do you think would have turned out like?
I'd have fucking probably been a boring cunt, to be honest.
And a whistle and flute.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was always like. My old man worked in metals on the London Metal Exchange.
Yeah.
And so that was always the kind of thing. The plan for me, I'm good with numbers, and I was just wanting to go uni and be a trader and trade metals, and that was all I ever really wanted to do. Yeah.
You glad you found the music scene, then?
Yeah, it's more fun, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so. They have a bit of fun, don't they, the bankers, same way.
They do, yeah. So you got caught cheating. How did you come about with the cheating then?
Well, I say I got caught cheating. I wasn't actually cheating. I didn't cheat, although I was sort of planning to.
Paid someone to do it.
No, I had notes in my pocket, and then they sort of come. Yeah, they come and tap with like, what's that there in your pocket, and they found them. But the thing is, I hadn't even got them out or nothing. I was sat right at the front. Funnily, the irony is, I was sat right at the front, so I couldn't cheat.
You couldn't get them out.
I didn't have the chance, but because I had them on me, they cancelled my paper. And then so Dan and John.
How did you feel at the time? What did the old man say? Was it mental? Did they all?
Yeah, they weren't happy.
Yeah.
They weren't happy. But I had a history of being a bit of a shitbag in school anyway, so it didn't come as much of a surprise.
Because on the podcast, like everyone we've had on, from Wayne Lineker to Tom Zanetti to Aaron Kraskell, Dame Kelly Holmes, you know, the majority of the successful people we've had are all shit at school.
Really?
How mad is that? Like, it must be, I'd say, the only person I think I remember being good at school was Colin Francis, DJ.
Really?
The only one that said he was good at school. Everyone else.
I was bright, but I was naughty. So I was the worst. I was the worst type of student because I didn't do nothing, but I always got good grades. So then when
if you're too bright, you're bored, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're sitting around.
And then so when I was naughty, they'd jump all over it because I was like, right, this is the chance.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So I went to loads of different schools and that. But started doing music. And it was when I went to the
playground. What did you do, like freestyle stuff? Or
yeah, just spitting bars. We used to go and do grime sets and stuff. Like, I had a few friends who were DJs. We had a little collective.
Do you remember the tunes you ripped back then? Have you still got any lyrics from back then? Or
Nah, I wouldn't remember them. Nah, I hardly remember what I done last week. And then when I met the boys, funnily enough, I went to a few different schools, and then the two other boys in the Manor, Danny and Johnny, we ended up at Langley Girls' sixth form. We went to an all-girls sixth form. And I went to the first school I ever went to, they was in the year above, but we didn't know each other. And then 5 schools later, I've ended up in the same sixth form as them. We ended up just, again, just rapping at the train station and that after school, after sixth form. Started throwing parties. We used to throw sick house parties. And then it all started from basically just getting up. We used to make songs about our mates. Do you know what I'm saying?
So just banter.
We used to make songs about our mates and about Beckenham and the pub and local area. And then...
It wasn't like you weren't trying to create anything serious.
Not at all, it was just a laugh. It was all just for a laugh. And then we used to stand up and start rapping at the house parties, and then we started putting the songs on Facebook, and our mates started to know the words, and we'd get up and do it. And then the two of them kind of just grew to the point that we were like, all right, we should start making an event out of these parties, really. And then a good vehicle for the event was us rapping. So then we basically just took our parties into our local pub, the Beckenham. Geezer, who was the manager at the time, Tony, nice fella, kind of backed us and said, look, why don't you come and do this here? And then the next thing, we were just roadblocking the pub every time we did it.
Serious.
And the movement just started from there. It was sick.
How was that for you at the time? Because you said you were still taking that as a laugh at the time. It was just like rocking up.
Yeah, it wasn't something we like, I don't know, at the point when we started to sell out shows and make money.
Did you come around the Manor first? Bods knew everywhere you went.
Yeah, but it was like, Beckenham is like an incestuous sort of place anyway. So everyone sort of knows anyone. Yeah, do you know what I mean? To be honest, it was a bit of 50-50. Like a load of people you'd see would be like, oh yeah, this is sick, like I've heard the music, whatever. And then a load of other people would turn their nose up at it and be like, who the fuck do they think they are? Because you know, it's like people don't really like seeing people do well.
Yeah, that's right.
And until you get to a certain level, and then I guess it wasn't until years later that we really started knocking on the door, then everyone sort of came round to it. Do you know what I mean?
And that's the thing, like with jealousy as well, it's like, they can only look up at someone you're jealous of, isn't you? You can't look down on someone.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at that as a compliment, I suppose.
Haters are a mark of success. No one hates on no one that's doing nothing.
So that's your gigs, like you tell me about how you started off in these pubs. I mean, now you banged out the Forum and you just had Brixton Academy booked up. How the fuck did you go from a pub, just a group of mates mucking about into clubs? How did that? Was it just like too many people there, just built up? Or?
Yeah, well, we got introduced to Craig D'Souza at Primary, who's a big agent and lovely fellow. We owe a lot to him. And he took a gamble on us, really. And he was like, we got taken into him by a fellow who was managing us at the time, or sort of helping us. And the thing is, especially with like up and coming acts, it's like a lot of people can't sell tickets. You've got a lot of acts nowadays who have millions and millions of YouTube views and streams, but it's like, what about them makes you want to come and experience it live? Like selling hard tickets is notoriously difficult for acts to do. And so we went into this room, we'd never had no radio play, no one at that side of the river knew who the fuck we were.
Yeah.
We'd never had proper management, the industry didn't have a clue we were, but yet we come in the room, we were like, look, we can do 500 tickets. And he was like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, we showed him the videos from the gigs and they go off. And so he's like, all right, why don't we do the O2 Academy Islington? We'll start off with a small room. He said, look, the small room's 350, I think the big room's, I think it's 850 or 1,000 maybe with guest list, something like that. And he said, look, let's start with a small one. And if that goes all right, we can always upgrade. So we thought, all right, sweet. Did that, put it on sale. And I remember now, we was in Relentless Energy Drink. We was doing a week in their studio on Denmark Street, in Tottenham Court Road.
I know that I played guitar, so when I was a kid, that was the guitar shop.
With all the musical instrument, all the instrument shops, yeah. So we was at their studio, I remember the day it went on sale, and it was like 9:10. And then we were getting messages from our mates saying, what's going on? I'm trying to buy tickets, it's not working. So we were ringing Craig and said, oh, Craig, the ticket link ain't working. And he was like, no, it's sold out. Sold it out 10 minutes.
Shut up.
Yeah.
What's he say? Fuck you.
He was just like, fucking hell, like, I believe you now. Let's upgrade it to the big room.
10 minutes?
Yeah, sold it out. And I mean, it's only like 350 tickets, but for us, it was like, that was mad.
You know, our main editing guy, Ted Lawlor, does all the designs and deals with all that side of our business. big fan of yours, and he was telling me about back in the day where people would get a phone call or something. He's like, well, like sometimes you wouldn't tell anyone. And then
we just used to do it late doors. Yeah, we used to
just
do it late doors. Just turn up to places, advertise it late, and just make a load of noise.
Right,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, then we upgraded to the big room at the O2 Islington, and then sold that out in a day. And so we'd like invited before like some record labels and industry people to our gigs in Beckenham, but it's like it's hard enough to get these people to come out and come and see at well-known venues, let alone travelling off to the arse end of South. I say arse end, Beckenham's quite nice, but deep South East London, almost Kent. It was near impossible. Plus our gigs were on weekends, and so industry gigs are generally, do you know what I mean? People do them midweek so people can come after work. And yeah, so then this was the first time that all of a sudden we had an agent in Craig D'Souza who everyone knew, and everyone was like, hold on, Craig's got this new act, because Craig had kind of Stormzy and a lot of success at the time. Everyone's like, oh, Craig's got this new act who just sold out the O2 Islington in a day and no one knows who the fuck they are. And so a load of industry people came for the first time and I feel like they were just like, what the fuck is this? Because it's mad. Our shows, is beers everywhere, people on people's shoulders, people with football flags. It's like an England game. Like, it's absolutely nuts. And then a guy called Nick Huggett was there. Who is a good friend now, whose record speaks for itself. He found Adele, Dizzy Rascal, MIA, Rizzle Kicks. And yeah, there was a few different labels there, but it was like, when Nick's about, there's no point having much of a conversation with anyone else, you know what I mean? Although that said, we did come close with Danny Weed and Target, just because of all the other, like we had off the back of that show, and because I think it was a combination of that show, Craig, and then when people got sniffed that Nick was about, everyone was like, oh my God, like, because we had no management, no publishers, no nothing. So our phones were just blowing up with everyone in the music industry wanting to have a conversation with us. And then out of everyone else we met, record label-wise, I think the other people we did come quite close with down the line was Danny Weed and Target, just because they were like so much like us. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And especially they were like I said, like from Roll Deep, and when I say back, listening to grime, and Creeper's one of my favourite grime beats of all time, and like they were like icons in that world. But they were still like a couple of years older than us, do you know what I mean? So they was like very similar to us, but when someone like Nick come knocking, we couldn't really turn it down. And yes, then we ended up signing with Nick, took on management with Rich Ramsey and Neil Easterby at Empire. And yeah, just went from there, sick.
Crazy, mate. So, how did you get into the forum and stuff? How did it go?
Well, from that point, we've always just sold out shows.
You sell out quick every time?
We sell out every single time. We've never done a show that ain't sold out. And it's like, and I say it's because it's such an experience that when you come, you don't come to a Manor gig once. Like once you come, you go to the next one, 100%. Because it's such an experience, and then it just grows and grows and grows like that. And I think it's just, you know.
So what was it like playing the forum? That must have been a buzz.
The forum. So we went from O2 Islington, we then did Coco, which is a sick venue. I love that, especially because I've been to so many good gigs and good raves there. And it's so magical because it's an old theatre, and the way it's got all the balconies and the boxes, old boxes, what they would have been, do you know what I mean? Being on the other side of that was sick. And then we always do like a little PR stunt at the end. So at the end of Coco, what we did is we told everyone after the last song, normally what we'd do is we have like a big sing-along. We do our last big song, which is a Law on Graft, and then we'll put on a big sing-along like a Wonderwall or like an Arctic Monkeys song, or we done 5, Keep On Moving, Chumbawamba. We're like almost like a big karaoke moment at the end. And then what we said to everyone is, after our last song, we said, meet us at the front, we got a surprise. And then what we had is, the original plan was to get a carnival, an articulated lorry with a carnival sound system on it. But logistically that didn't quite work, so we ended up with a flatbed transit with a void sound system on the back. But then we took the whole of Coco up Camden High Street behind this truck on a Saturday night with some cordless microphones and did an encore. Brilliant. Walking up and absolutely roadblocked it. Police came at the end, got in a couple of papers. It was sick. So we went from there to, Brixton Electric sold that out. The Forum, Kentish Town sold that out. The Roundhouse, sick venue. sold that out up till, Brixton Academy, we sold out, but unfortunately got postponed. We lost it to the pandemic by 3 days. But that's there. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I mean about we've got the best fans in the world, because I remember when we first announced that show was going to be postponed, and we were worried about people asking for refunds, but there were actually more, because it was a sold out gig, there were more people in the comments trying to buy tickets for anyone that couldn't go, compared to people who actually requested refunds for the tickets. Yeah, well, we've always said it, like when we next put a show, we should just like buy 100 tickets and put them on StubHub ourselves. It's what like Eddie Hearn probably does, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not supposed to say that, but like he bought steak in StubHub for a reason, didn't he? Do you know what I mean?
That's brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. So, how is success so quick like that? How was it with like all your egos and stuff? Was it hard to maintain at first? Because sometimes I know music, like in the music game or any game, footballers like with Jamie O'Hara, people like that, they talk about when they get there, they stop. Sometimes they stop visualising the future, their goals, and get caught up in the moment. But you boys are different, because you boys are the businessmen as well. You're all doing.
Yeah, well, I've got various other business interests on the side, but I think
on Netflix, you're on Netflix now.
Yeah, £1 Million Menu.
£1 Million Menu,
season 2, episode 5.
That's
yeah.
it, I remember.
Yeah, my street food business, Tiger Bites.
Have a look.
But yeah, I feel like because it might have looked like it happened quickly, but it was years in the making, because we'd been doing this for in some sort of capacity since like 2010, and so it wasn't until like 2016 when we got signed. And so all of a sudden everyone was like, oh look, there's this new act, the Manor, who've been signed, and they're selling out all these shows. But for us, we've been kind of like doing this, we've been doing it in Beckenham and no one had been taking no notice of us for years. Do you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, boom. Yeah, it happened. But then even now, it's still like, we still don't get loads and loads of attention from the wide music industry, I guess, probably because genre-wise, we've never really tried to fit in. We've never really worried too much about what the radio stations are playing or what everyone wants to listen to on playlists. It's very much been about us and our connection with our fans. Like, what music do we like making? What music do our fans want to hear? And so we've made sure that as long as we're feeding that and servicing that machine, then that machine will continue to grow. Do you know what I'm saying? So I guess in terms of from an ego perspective, it's kept us grounded in that sense that we've always kind of had to work for our core fan base rather than thinking about the wide market. So we've kind of never lost that sense of being grounded and that connection with them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's what keeps you real, I think. That's what keeps you connected. Like I say, look at my old bands, Stone Roses, the Sex Pistols. All these sort of bands that start with the Charlatans, the Happy Mondays, when they start with that core value, like the Hacienda Club, it was a place where it was you couldn't get in there sort of thing. And, creating that sort of underground scene, these bands last forever. They don't go nowhere. Do you know what I mean? They're still there now. Like Sean Milder's still going back at Brixton Academy, 5 nights on the spin, fucking Manchester, whatever. But that's what you want. You want to be, man, this is your life now, isn't it?
100%, 100%. And that's why I feel like as long as we keep making music that we like, then our fans will continue to enjoy it. And that's what's going to give us longevity rather than trying to make what the radio wants to hear now or what Spotify wants to hear right now. Do you know what I'm saying?
So, Scott, tell us a bit about Tiger Bites, I'd like to learn a bit more about the your food business. Yeah,
so that Tiger Bites, I started it with my ex. We were together for 7 years, and she was just an amazing cook, and we both had a massive passion for food. And I'm pretty decent with business, so I thought, all right, let's try and do something with this. Like, you've got a great skill set. I've got a decent business head. Let's try and do something here. So yeah, we started a street food business. Just took off out of nowhere. I remember we went for our first. It was a pub called the Old Nun's Head, and some friends of ours, they did a pop-up in there, and they we used to do little tastings at our house and invite our friends round and whatever, and cook for them. And when we got to a point that we felt we were ready, they introduced us to the manager of the pub, and we went there and cooked them some food, and he was like, "Yeah, I love it. This is great. Like, but what else? You've only got like 3 dishes. And we were just like, I don't know, we've got loads more than that. Like, we just like thought we'd bring and cook you like the best ones we've got. And he was like, what else? And I sort of looked at her and she was like, duck gyoza. She's never cooked a duck gyoza in her life. But she just thought of a couple of things to fit in with the remit. He was like, oh yeah, like, so can we do another taste with the rest of the food? I had a week to build a menu, try it, and we'd spent like months working on these few dishes to get them right. Then all of a sudden we had a week to get the rest of the menu together. I did it, got a little contract in there doing 2 evenings a week. Broke the record for their opening night of a pop-up on our first night, and that just set the tone. We had, then we got a permanent contract at a bar called Birthdays in Dalston, beat off some like really established street food brands to get in there. Went on the show called £1 Million Menu, and it was mad, like out of nowhere, less than a year after we started the business, we were doing 2 evenings a week in a pub. We had like 5 sites. Bear in mind, she's got no experience in the field whatsoever, and neither did I. And then we had 5 sites, but what a lot of people don't know is we were going through a breakup as it was happening. Oh, no. And ironically, when I moved out of the house that we were living in together, that same month was the month that she left her day job to do this full time. And the pressure of that, of going through a difficult breakup with someone who she effectively became like dependent on in a way, because the business wasn't quite earning enough for her to quit her day job at the time yet, but she needed to quit her day job to get it, to support her. So she was kind of like gently financially dependent on me at the same time. And I was the last fucking person on the planet in the history of time that she'd want to be half financially dependent on. Do you know what I mean? So it must have been difficult for her.
You still cool now?
Yeah, now we are. After it's been for a lot. But then, so yeah, we ran it for a year after we split up, went through the show. That's what I'm saying. When you look at what watch us on that episode of £1 Million Menu, and it looks perfect. We look like perfect as anything. But what people don't know, we travelled up to Manchester to film on separate trains because we couldn't even be around each other for that long. Wow. Do you know what I'm saying? And then, eventually just our relationship broke down. She left the business. I took on like her whole workload, which was just too much for me. And then the business ended up, it went from, we had 5 kitchens, we were trying to open more. And it was just at the point that we started to scale when she left. Obviously there was a lot of pressure that was attached with that.
Does she come back now? You're still friends?
No, we're still, we're all right now. But then, so she left, and then it was just too much for me, and I had to pull out for it and take a break from it. But it was tough, man. Like, being in a position where I was this close to it, absolutely going clear and making me millions, to the point there within the space of a month, it was sitting on 0 and then started to lose money. And then all money I was making elsewhere started going towards supporting that business. And then all the time I had elsewhere was going towards that business. And it was just destroying me. And plus, like, the breakup only hit me then, a year later, because I'd still been speaking to her for I still spoke to her every day after we split up. And then so all of a sudden I was like a year down the line and she was gone, and it was like, oh, fucking hell. And I was with someone else at the time, and bless her, she was like, what's going on here? Like, we've been together 5 months and now you're all depressed over your ex. But it was like, because the breakup, this was someone who was in my life, it was a constant in my life for 8 years, and now was finally gone. It was tough. So I had to, it was tough, man. I remember on the Monday, I made the decision that I was going to take a break from it. And I needed to ring, because we had an investment from delivery, we had like all the different kitchens. I had to ring everyone, and I didn't get out of bed for a week. Like, really? I just couldn't. I was just depressed. I just couldn't make the phone calls, and I didn't make the calls until Friday.
How do you pull yourself out of depression? Because sometimes I think it's good to go in yourself, isn't it? Just take that time out to just actually allow yourself. Is that what you've done? Did you allow yourself?
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, at the time, that was a difficult time for me. That was sort of 2019, and that was a hard summer. My business partner in another business left and opened a competing company, took all the clients with him. And yeah, everything, all of a sudden, like 1 minute I had like the world at my feet, and the next minute I was like at my mum's and I was skint, and I was like, hold on, what the fuck happened there? Do you know what I'm saying?
Shit.
It was nuts. And I've never...
So you sort of lost a lot?
Everything, yeah. And I was like... Wow. But I didn't lose the lot, but it was like... I was like... I still had income from the Manor, blah, blah, but I felt like everything... Do you know what I mean? When we done our record deal, I could have bought a house, and then instead of buying a house, I invested in these 2 companies, and these 2 companies were this close to like absolutely going mental, and then they went the other way, and I felt like everything I built had gone.
Yeah, you lost everything.
And I'd never really experienced failure like that before, and I'd never really experienced self-doubt like that before.
And how did you feel?
Yeah, it was tough, man. Like, cause I remember I'd always, like I say, I was shitbag in school, but I was always bright, and even with music, I was used to like...
How did you say like self-doubt, a bit of low self-worth, you know?
Just had to accept, it was acceptance. Like, I felt like I was fighting it for so long. I was fighting rock bottom for so long and trying to hold myself up, and I just let myself fall. And I just accepted I've failed. Not like, this thing's a shit, I don't feel good. Like telling yourself, I'm all right. It's all good, and sometimes you need to do that. But sometimes you just need to accept that you're sad, and just be down and accept being down and just sit with it and live it. And it was mad, and I always liken it to, if you're trying to climb some stairs and you're on the bottom step and you're falling backwards and you're holding onto the banister, like, how hard is it to fucking pull yourself up that one step? It's a lot easier if you're on the bottom step to stand up, and then you can just climb up. One step at a time. And then I feel like, as I let myself fall, I just embraced it.
So once you accepted it and embraced it, what did you do then? Say, right, this is it, I'm going to create a new vision. I'm just going to go now. What was your new visions after that? What did you see for your future once you got back on that first step and you stood there and thought, right, do one step at a time? What was your first sort of fucking vision?
I feel like, things, I've always been ambitious. And then when all that happened, it was the first time I had to look in the mirror and think, fucking hell, maybe I'm not going to achieve all my dreams. And that was mad, that was difficult for me, that was tough.
Did it do your favour one? Did it kick up the arse?
100%, because the thing is that when I started to find myself again, and when I started to feel better in myself, started training again, started to get my morning routine back, it was like I realised that I was a little bit of a cocky bastard before. I was a bit arrogant, but I was never arrogant in a condescending way. But I was a little arrogant, and I used to talk myself up a lot and big myself up a lot. But then I realised, I feel like that goes back to where I was always bright in school, but I never really delivered on that academically. And so I always felt like I had to live up to expectations, not so much a little bit from my parents, not so much they had expectations of me, but I wanted to make them proud, and expectations that I put on myself. And so I always felt like I had to make something of myself. And then it's nuts. It's like, when I accepted, hold on, maybe I won't be who I thought I was. And then when I was like, well, all right, if I'm not going to be this person I've always thought I was going to be all my life, and I'm not going to have all this fucking wealth and this, that and the other, if that is the case, that's all right. Like, what life has for me is what it has for me, and I'm sure I can be happy either way. And now I've got back in myself, and I've refound myself, and I know that I will live an exceptional life. And it's given me a new sort, I feel like life beat the arrogance out of me.
Good.
And it's given me a new sort of confidence in that I know what I'm capable of. And wherever life takes me, I'm open and receptive to that. Yeah. And whatever my dreams are right now, if I achieve them, I achieve them. If I go a different way, like, life is beautiful, and what will be. And I just want to enjoy the journey a little bit more and stay present and live it. Yeah, because it took the pressure off myself completely.
You still see the goals, though. You still see the big picture of the the man.
100%.
Business's big picture.
100%. I'm still fiercely ambitious. I'm still fiercely ambitious, but at the same time.
I love that word, bro.
Yeah, and I have infallible belief in myself. But at the end of the day, I know where I want to go. But if life takes me in a different direction, then I'll go with it, and I'll let life take me where it takes me. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm open and receptive to change.
Tell us a little bit about your mushroom experience. I know you do this microdosing. I've been hearing about everyone these little microdoses. And to me, magic mushrooms to me is someone's tripping out, they're laughing, they're seeing fucking if his wedding. But it ain't like that, is it? It's microdosing of it.
So...
Because you said to me earlier that it's changed your life.
Completely.
For the positive, like 100%.
Significantly.
So can you explain a little bit about the mushrooms and about the microdosing, how it all works for me?
So I discovered microdosing last year, and I'd been hearing, again, similar to you, I watched Joe Rogan's podcast, and he's always talking about them, and there's a bit of a psychedelic revolution going on at the minute, and I've been reading a lot about them and hearing a lot about them. And it was a friend of mine called Tom Forster. He's an NLP coach as well.
Yeah, okay.
And he was, we were having a talk about a few different, me and him, about life, but he was, funnily enough, he was sort of a year before me. He was like, he's got a vegan protein shake company called Fit Delis. It's wicked. But he had some problems with his investor, and he fell into serious depression and was suicidal. And he went to the NHS, tried to get counselling, years waiting list. They tried to put him on antidepressants, didn't want to go on antidepressants. Went to a spiritual healer who recommended psilocybin therapy. So he went, psilocybin is the compound in the magic mushroom that makes you trip.
Oh, okay.
And
this
so,
is legal, yeah?
Pardon?
Is this legal or illegal?
No, legal. It's not, which is absolutely fucking mental, because it grows out the floor. I don't know. So some cunt can tell you that it's illegal to eat something that grows out the floor. And even on that note, it's not even like weed that's been. I know people say weed grows out the floor, but that's been, crossbred to fuck and hydroponic growing, genetically modified. Every fruit and vegetable that you buy at the supermarket has been crossbred to fuck and genetically modified to be optimized for consumption, whereas these little mushrooms grow the same way they did thousands of years ago. So I don't know why someone tells me I can't eat that.
But you're not taking, I suppose, because, obviously they're looking at it because everyone's taking too much of it and they're tripping out. But if they could govern it,
even then,
they could govern it and test it. It's like you said, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Explain what you said about the amount of mushroom you need to trip, then the man.
Yeah. So the idea behind microdosing. So to trip really on a magic mushroom, you need minimum 2.5 grams. Right. Microdosing, you take a tenth of that or less. So say like 0.2. You have 0.2, and you can do it. There's a couple of different protocols. The one that I'm following at the minute is 5 days on, 2 days off, right? Or there's another one you can do, which is where I started, was 1 day on, 2 days off. And what it basically does, it just drip feeds this tiny amount of psilocybin into your brain and into your system. Into your system. So it's completely non-psychoactive. Like, you do not notice it's there.
At all?
Not at all. But it just, it's very hard to describe. It's just very subtle changes into your whole perception and perspective on life. Like I always say, if you operate here and this is like your eye line, it just lifts your eyes there, and you just like, I remember one of the main benefits that I got from it is that I just started to see the beauty of nature. And I didn't even know. I remember it was on my second dose. Like, I was on a run in Crystal Palace Park. I've run around this park for my whole life. Grew up in that park. I've run around this park, and then I was like, this park is fucking sick. I was like, how sick is this park? It's got a maze, it's got dinosaurs and a lake, it's got an Olympic sports centre, so a remote control car track.
In a way,
mad sense of gratitude. And I remember I stopped to this tree and I was like, fucking hell, look at that tree is nuts. And I was just sat there.
To me.
But but it was just beautiful. And I was looking at all the different trees, but nothing, things weren't moving and going anything like that. No, I was just looking at all the different trees, and I thought, how sick is that?
Just stay all day.
But it's there, but it's nothing. It doesn't come and go. It's just there. No, not at all. I was just looking at these trees.
You said to me earlier when we was chatting about it, little bits, but you said that actually it sort of kept you a little bit elevated in your 100%. Like even though if you don't take it, you.
No, it's like that's what I mean. I remember even with trees now. I love trees now. I remember being in this park and I was just looking at him and I was just took a moment to myself and I thought, look how unique all these trees are, and they're just like people. Like they all grow in their own different way and they're all beautiful and unique in their own different way. I was looking at this big old oak tree and I was thinking like, what have you seen? Like in Crystal Palace Park, big oak, and I was thinking, what have you like, in the time it's taken you to grow that big, the amount of different people that have walked past you, like what have you seen? Do you know what I'm saying? And then I didn't even realise, and I just thought like that was a sick day, like, and it wasn't until like 2-3 weeks later, I was listening to a podcast, a Tim Ferriss podcast, and a lady who was on there said, oh yeah, microdosing psilocybin made me fall in love with nature, and I was like, oh shit, it was the fucking mushroom. It was the mushrooms. And that's when I realised, and it was like, yeah, man, it's very subtle changes, like...
Do you remember me laugh first? Did you walk past that picture of fucking daffodil or something now? Didn't you? Like, you just
no, mate, honestly, I wouldn't, like, I take pictures of flowers on portrait mode all the time. I'll see a nice flower with a good background, I'll take a picture of it, like, but it's just focus, creativity, you process bad information, it's all right. I can't remember the last time I had road rage. And I'm not a super angry driver, but it's like, negative vibes is just, positive vibes, yeah, sick. You want them even more. Negative vibes, it's a real sense of grounding and gratitude. Like it's very, very subtle, very subtle.
Changed your life? Has it helped you in business? Has it helped you in?
100%. Like, but this is the thing. It's like I talk to people I know who aren't as kind of earthy and hippy dippy as me. Do you know what I'm saying? Or who are very kind of rational.
I suppose because of the reputation of magic mushrooms, I mean, you know, in my day, everyone had magic mushrooms running around laughing their head off or crying or, you know, seeing things for hours. I suppose people just relate it just to that, didn't they? Like
yeah.
LSD trip or something. So
yeah.
You're saying with microdosing, it's not.
No, it's like, like I say, people. I've spoken to other people about it, and they will say like, "Oh, how much of what's changed about you as a person?" You can grind it up and make capsules, or I just like weighing it out and eating it. Yeah, but I've spoken to people who will say to you like, how much of the change in yourself is due to those things, and how much of it is because of the journey, your own personal journey that you've gone on. And the thing is, it's both, innit? Because they came to me at that time in my life when I was kind of changing and going through a lot of changes as a person, and how much of an impact or how much assistance they have given me in my general spiritual and personal development. They've definitely been a huge factor.
You used the word vibration, you lifted your vibrations, like you feel the energy, you feel a light, 100%. Or what?
Yeah, no, it's just, I don't know, when I say the vibration, it's kind of just like, I don't know, man, I just feel like I see life through slightly different eyes. I feel just a sense of gratitude. I appreciate life. I appreciate little things. I crave human contact. I'm not as affected by bad vibes. Like, I've always been proud about a passionate vegan, but empathy, I feel so much more empathy to other people and to animals. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just definitely just made, I believe, has made me a better person.
Oh, it's amazing. And is this what, I'll keep hearing about this stuff lately. It's like, you know, like your reticular activating system that guys I always talk about, filtering the brain, you know, works as, it's a group of neurons at the bottom of the brain, works as a filtering system. And when you put your thoughts into something, it starts to show you more of it. It's weird because lately all I keep hearing is people telling me stories about this microdosing. So yeah, it sounds interesting.
I think definitely in...
All that ayahuasca stuff sounds a bit too much for me.
I think that whole journey into psychedelics is an interesting one. I've done a DMT ceremony that was like...
It's like 10-15 minute buzz, isn't it?
Yeah, but that was like one of the most pivotal, profound things that's ever happened. I could do a whole other podcast on that, mate. Like, really? It's come back 10,000 years of knowledge in away for 10 minutes.
Seriously?
But yeah.
A lot of people, a couple of pods have had wobbly ones, but they've gone back again, and I still wanted to go back again, which I couldn't get my head around. And then they had one that was like, they sort of cut back and having a lightened one. That's amazing.
I feel like even in that's the thing about in the psychedelic world is they say challenging trips are often ones that you get the most from afterwards. Do you know what I mean? But I think in terms of what
did Mike Tyson do? Did he do one did he do?
He did the toad, didn't it? It was a certain type of DMT.
Look how nice he is now. So he's definitely changed him, isn't it?
But I feel like with microdosing, with psilocybin in particular, I think there's definitely space. I think like I do trip. I trip maybe once or twice a month.
What do you mean?
And it's just like I do a proper dose.
Oh, a proper mushroom dose.
Yeah, and I'll journey. But that's the thing. It's like strange. I've done them in the past. I feel like with mushrooms, a lot of it is about the intention that you set. And so I will. It's like I will trip, and it really takes you inside yourself, and you kind of ask yourself some questions, and it really unlocks a certain area of your brain that either you can't access or you find it difficult to access without the use of psilocybin. Do you know what I'm saying? And I feel especially now in the world that we live in, where the outside world is fucking full of so much shit that has been kind of weaponized against us in so many ways, whether it's the media, whether it's food, whether it's whatever it is. Do you know what I'm saying? Don't need to go down that road, but I feel like there's a lot of different things that exist in the outside world that have been kind of weaponized against us for corporations, for the purpose of marketing and for making money, to teach us what happiness is and what happiness looks like, and to push us towards striving towards what we're being sold to is happiness, which often leaves us empty, because when we get there, we realise it's not what we wanted. Yeah. And I feel like what these things do is they will just take you inside yourself and reconnect you with your emotions and make you realise, hold on, this is what makes me happy and how I actually feel. Do you know what I'm saying?
And when you do your music, do you ever write songs you record it as well?
I've tried. We've done mushrooms in the studio twice, but we just end up talking about fucking the Mayans and life and shit. Do you know what I mean?
Too much,
either we made one weird song about life and shit, or we just end up having deep conversations and talking about life.
About the microdose though, do you do that in music?
Yeah, well, I'm constantly on and off with microdosing. But the thing is, I don't want microdosing to be something that I rely on.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I'm very wary of that. So I kind of do a course. I'll do a 6-week course, and I'll break for a month. I'll break for 2 months.
And how'd you find
I'll go back to it. Nah, not whatsoever. Like I say, it's just kind of, I use it as and when I feel like I need it. Sometimes even when I don't need it, I feel like I might have a little dip with that again. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, and like I say, I feel like once you access,
I'd like to see someone.
Once you access that part of your brain, I don't think you lose it again. Do you know what I'm saying? I say it about like with veganism. I feel like once, I remember the first time I ate a piece of steak and thought about this dead fleshy cow in my head, and I couldn't eat no more. Once that switch is flipped, it doesn't go back. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's mad. So it's really interesting. I like to see someone do a study, and I get some scientists and really do the microdosing and watch out, because the humans just like the generalised shit. I don't care what drug it is; it will have a good effect somewhere. If you use it in big doses, it'll be bad. But most drugs will have. Look at cannabis. Yeah, skunk weed's got 40% of psychosis causing 40% of the psychosis in the Western world. Yeah, that was probably even 5 years ago. That was the figures. But strip out all the THC and go to CBD oil. And people they're selling it in shops now. And it's not
even THC is
good for cancer.
Cures cancer. Do you know what I mean? It's definitely.
That's what I'm saying. In this small, quiet environment, it's got a lot of good stuff.
There's a lot of studies. There's a lot. Like mushrooms have just been legalized in Canada, in Oregon, and loads of places for treatment of depression and anxiety. They say they're 5 times more effective. Full
trips.
Yeah, they're 5 times more effective than traditional antidepressants. Yeah, 100%. And then even this is the thing. Like, I've got a mate who's very libertarian with his thought process, and everyone will say, and he says, look, even cocaine, and I can't stand cocaine, I hate it. Do you know what I mean? I think it's an horrible drug. But even he said, look, you get someone on it, and they will sit there and they will get to their deep down insecurities, and they'll chew your ear off about it. But it will strip someone back
yeah,
to their soul. Do you know what I'm saying? And so there is an argument to say that there's MDMA therapy, there's lots of, I know a big music manager who says he loves doing ketamine because it helps his back. Do you know what I mean? But there are various different studies to suggest that drugs can be helpful used in the right way. But for me particularly, I haven't really said this much publicly, but I'm doing a year teetotal this year. No drugs, no alcohol, no nothing. But I don't even look at mushrooms in that remit whatsoever. Yeah, like they're not synthetic. It's not something that I'm using recreationally. This is a spiritual tool, and it's something that it's like spinach for me. Do you know what I mean? I don't look at it any different to any other herb or vegetable or plant remedy that I might use.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see people. Look into this because anything to these fucking antidepressants ain't working. All after serotonin, that's all they seem to be doing. No, serotonin, the cortisol. It's just sort of like. See, what people don't realise is with these tablets, yeah. Imagine this is a level of where your cortisol sits. Just imagine, and as maybe sitting there. So if something happens and that causes us a bit of stress. You know, my level might go up to about there, and yours might go up to there. You might get a little bit angry, but not much. When people are in high states of stress and anxiety, depression, their levels are resting up here. Whereas goes when we're a bit stressed, so they're resting there. So something little can just send them out of it. And imagine that's the level that you can go to the top, yeah. Well, once that cortisol overloads, there's a part of the brain that's like a sponge, say, and it soaks it all up. And that part of the brain deals with the reasoning. Do you know if like someone gets angry? You have a row and you call someone a CUNT or you headbutt someone, you have a row or whatever growing up, and your cortisol's out the window, yeah. And when it's up there and you can't reason, you're fucked. So what happens? It takes about 15 minutes, on average, 15-20 minutes for it to sort of sink back down into the pot, and then you start reasoning again, yeah. So you know, if you have a fight with someone or saying, can you say something about, you know, oh, go away, you fucking wanker, your dad's a so-and-so, or something like that. You say something you shouldn't really say, but when you're in anger, you can't reason with it. Like, you say things you don't mean or whatever. Then when you calm down and the cortisol sinks down, you think, fucking hell. Now, he took a libby, but I shouldn't have said that. It was out of fault. You know what you've done wrong. You know you've gone over the top. But that's because you're back in the cortisol comes down so you can reason again. So what these sort of do is these tablets sort of hold off the cortisol from raising, but also from dipping. So it sort of numbs people in a way.
Yeah.
Like, high doses of these antidepressants, man. I see people come up it's like, no fucking zombies, hello, you know, they're all like this, and I think, what the fuck?
Emotionless.
And now you're supposed to motivate them because to change someone's emotional state, they have to feel emotion. So you can't take it away from someone and go sit and work this out because no matter how much logic you can find in the problem and the solution, we need to move their emotions up and down to help them, you know, to reevaluate and to change and go through the emotion. They need to go through experiences. So, you know, these tablets, they're just holding it off. They're not curing anything.
That's the thing about antidepressants for me is like, I do think they can be effective in short-term management, but I don't think they treat symptoms. They're never going to get to the root cause.
If someone's going to kill themselves, dose them up. Fucking send them on for 6 weeks.
In the meantime, whilst you can get into them with cognitive therapy,
hopefully.
And do you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, how do you treat a cognitive imbalance? And I believe, and I'm not a brain expert, but I still think a lot of the chemical imbalances in the brain come from our cognitions. And if we get to the root cause of the cognitions, then the chemicals will balance themselves out. And so if you try and treat...
Because if you get to the root cause and you understand it, like a lot of people do, then what are you going to do? They haven't got the tools to move forward. See, people, what they do is psychotherapy are very good at understanding the problem, getting to the root cause. But they're not generally good at moving forward. Yeah. They don't teach someone to pull them out. They go, well, that's what's wrong with you, and that's why you're doing it. And there was that fucking idiot on telly, that bird. She was doing all them therapists with, she was doing therapy with all the celebrities. She's fucking, all she done was sit there with Callum Best, Gemma Collins, tell them why they were like it and what happened to the dad, and the dad made them feel like this. And I was thinking, well, then what are you going to do? And that was it. And they walked out.
Don't reprogram.
In a session, you're just telling them why. And you go, what? And a lot of these therapists, you go to them, so what does that do to them? Well, now they understand why they like it.
Then you've got to reprogram again now, innit?
You've got to fucking reprogram, bro. You've got to be able to move forward. You've got to set goals. You've got to have, you said, ambition. You've got to have something that's going to pull you forward. You can't be happy unless you're going towards a goal. See, when the world shuts off and you lose somebody, like you said, you know, even though you've been about it for a year, and she disappeared from your life, she was in your life for a long period of time. So it ain't about even being that into that love, like you're in love with her now, but she's been a part of your life. When someone just disappears, you're going to grieve because they've been there so long, your brain's used to it. When it disappeared, the world don't seem the same, and you can't see your future without them there, even though you're not even with her. And this is what happens when people split up in relationships. They can't see the future. Businesses break down. Fuck, what am I going to do now? You can't see no way out. You've lost everything and you can't see the future. You go in yourself, you go depressed. But it's like you said, you have to go through that emotional journey. You went in yourself, you went through it, and all of a sudden you get to a point where you said, you go back to that first step. And when you're at that first step, you can only look up. You can't go, there's nowhere else to go. You can't go any down anymore. So you've got to, at some point, something will come along. Just like hang in there another day. Those people commit suicide. If they just hang in there another day, they might just be able to get to that bottom step.
I think that's the thing. The sick thing about mushrooms and the beautiful about them is that they don't make you feel great all the time. Like sometimes I know people who are microdosing, and sometimes you'll still get a bit down.
Yeah.
You still might feel a little bit low, but that's all right because we're human beings and you're going to feel like that. But what happens is when you do feel a bit low, you observe it. You observe it better, you deal with it better, and they will, like I say, it will tune you into your emotions. So it'll be harder to ignore things. So if something's bothering you and that's niggly, the mushrooms, they'll bring it to you and you'll face up to it and you'll deal with it. Do you know what I'm saying? And you sit with it and then you feel all right with it. Like it's hard to explain, but it's just
the language you're speaking. I've heard a lot of people talking like doing the ayahuasca and the other stuff. But it seems to keeps coming back everywhere. They're all speaking the same language as you, basically. So there's got to be a lot of good in it. A microdose, it makes sense, doesn't it? It's like it's not sending you out on no mad trip. You're not going to start.
Yeah, I couldn't recommend it more to anyone. A lot of people I know have been back this way. Yeah, I've got a friend, close friend of mine. He said, I've been on him for ages to give microdosing a go. Suffers badly with anxiety, depression, can't fly. Do you know what I mean? Can't drive through tunnels. Like, lovely guy, but just really suffers bad with anxiety, crippling anxiety at times. I've been on him to give him a go. But he's like, I'm not too sure, blah, blah. He's like, what's the drawbacks? What's the negatives? It's like, honestly, like, the only negative for me is you might not get the benefits. So there really are no negatives. There aren't. This is the thing about, I can't believe it's a Class A drug because there is no lethal dose. There is a lethal dose of paracetamol, aspirin, ibuprofen, anything you can buy over the fucking counter in Boots. Yeah. There is no lethal dose of these. So my friend, worst that happens, you might have a mad trip and you like feel a bit shit for whatever. Like, what happens if you lose your mind and you don't come back? It's like there is not much clinical science of that happening. And if that happens to you, like, if you're that in your mind to say that you're going to lose your mind at a point anyway, do you know what I'm saying? Like, again, the clinical science to suggest that might happen is very loose, and it's a wild anomaly. But so my friend, his New Year's resolution this year, he's trying to be less of a miserable, grumpy bastard. And I thought, self-awareness, step one done, hardest bit, you've won.
Admitting it.
You've won, yeah? And so I didn't say it, but later that evening I texted him and I said, see with your New Year's resolution, do you think now might be the time to give microdosing a go? I was waiting for him to rebuttal me, but he was like, yeah, go on, let's do it. So he gave it a go. 2 weeks in, I was quite emotional. He come and saw me the other day and he said, mate, do you know what? I've filmed myself for the first time in 12 years.
Really?
Yeah, he said, for the first time in 12 years, I don't feel anxious or depressed. How mad is that? And he was like, I just feel normal. And he's like, and I've just actually realised, he's like, I know I've struggled with anxiety and I know I've kind of, my mental health's been up and down, but this is between 20 and 30, he'd kind of just accepted that was him, because that's all he'd known for his whole adult life. And he's like, I just realised now, I know I've suffered with anxiety, I just realised I've been depressed for like my whole 20s.
And what's he doing now? What's he saying about life now?
It's just, he's working harder, he's got a landscaping business, his business is going from strength to strength, he's happier, he's just a happier person, he's nicer to be around, like he's just, he's completely transformed. 2 weeks. 2 weeks in.
So interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Mine's an amazing thing, it's just I ain't tapped into hardly none of it. But what I do know is the antidepressants, I say, to get this clear on the tape, that antidepressants I do recommend for anyone who wants to self-harm, kill themselves, dose the fuck out of them, yeah? 100%, don't let that cortisol move anymore. I agree with that. But for the average person who's with anxiety and depression, the reason why there's such an addictive is because, well, there always will be, because the side effects when you stop them is anxiety and depression. Figure that out. Let's talk about the best drug dealer in the world. You put them on a drug, but they get off it, they get anxiety, they go back on them again. So because when you just stop taking them, your fucking cortisol goes flying through the roof, so you're back into stress mode.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is, if anyone's at home and they are, feeling better and they want to work with their mind, don't ever just come off them things like you think you can because you can't. You're better off coming off them things like a quarter of a tablet, then a full tablet. 3/4 of a tablet, then a tablet.
Taper down.
A tablet, and do that for like 7 days even, and then then quarter of a tablet, and then 3/4 of a tablet, then 3/4 of a tablet, 3/4 of a tablet. Do that for 7 days. Like, the slower you come off of them, the less you're going to notice the anxiety, because the anxiety and that nervousness and that anxiety basically what it causes, and because you ain't going from like this to this, it's going to be going like this. It'll start coming down slowly. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense. Up and down, up and down. Mm-hmm. You don't want to move them waves too big because you're
100%. Listen, the short-term fix, like I say, can definitely be used, but they could definitely be used to in the short term to manage severe mental health problems which are out of control. Definitely. Do you know what I mean? And get them under control. However, I don't believe they will ever treat the root cause.
See, the problem is, anxiety is the effect of the problem. This is what they don't seem to get. It ain't the fucking cause of the problem. It's the effect. If you can change what caused the way they ain't even change what they caused. You can't go back on a fucking time machine. But if you can change the way they feel about the cause of the problem, then the anxiety will dissolve.
But this is the thing in it, is that it's widely publicised, isn't it? Goldman Sachs said not too long ago about pharmaceuticals that a patient cured is a customer lost. And it says it all, doesn't it?
Is that what he said?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I think that's abundantly clear all across the medical industry. Do you know what I mean? I'm not putting down on medical professions, and there's the wonders of what we can do nowadays with science are beautiful, natural. But there is definitely a case to say that there is a lot of medicine in this country, or in Western civilization. A lot of these kind of manufactured medicines are designed to cure symptoms and not get to the bottom of the root cause.
Exactly, 100%. I agree with you. 100%. I mean, it's like sugar diabetes. They got type 2 diabetes. People think it's due to sugar. They don't know. People with diabetes, I've had people in my practice, they've had it for 20 years, 18 years. And I go, what causes it? They go, oh, the pancreas, too much sugar in blood. I went, no, ain't. That's what causes the pancreas to act like that. On type 2, not type 1. That is a problem with the pancreas. Type 2 is the veins in our body, your vein in your body, when we eat like animal, you probably know, being a vegan anyway, but eating fats and dairy products, we put a tar around our vein. So our body takes in sugar. Imagine my arm's my vein. Well, these cells come in to our vein, they pull the sugar through the vein into the bloodstream, use energy, stores energy, whatever. It might turn to fat, blah, blah, right? But what happens is, when we're eating a bad diet, we put a tar around our vein, the inner circle. So when the cells come in to pull the sugar through the vein, it can't get through. It's like a fucking wall of tar. Mm-hmm. So that's when it starts to overload into your bloodstream, the sugar that causes the pancreas and the insulin levels to change and everything. That's because of the fucking tar. Nothing to do with the sugar. But the world keep all these specialists are telling us it's the sugar, don't eat sugar, it's the sugar doing it. Ain't the sugar doing it. What caused it is the bad diet that you're eating. I reckon saying like 80% of people in type 2 can revert. Well, listen, they're only going to get better by changing their diet, but a lot of them reverse the effect.
It's mad. It's mad.
It clears. If you don't eat fat and tar, it will clean itself out.
It's mad that it's just accepted that once you've been diagnosed with diabetes, you've got that for life.
Yeah.
And that's it. And whereas there is like an abundance of evidence all over the world that you can reverse
100%.
diabetes.
I've had clients come and do it. I've had clients do it with me. It's unbelievable. Or it's very. They've got to be really in a bad way or a certain age for it not to be able to reverse in a way. But it's in the mind. A lot of like Alzheimer's and things. It all starts off with these blockages, through the fats and the. It's crazy.
There's actually there's a lot of interesting studies coming out by a guy called Paul Stamets, mushroom expert. I love mushrooms.
Yeah.
But basically he's done research that stacking psilocybin, lion's mane, which is known like a medicinal mushroom, legal medicinal mushroom, and niacin, which is I think vitamin B3. They is showing an alarming rate of cognitive cell regeneration. And the evidence is starting to look the way that they can reverse the degeneration of Alzheimer's and dementia.
Really?
Mad research coming out about it.
They can't deny anymore. I don't think people are getting too wise for these fucking pharmaceutical companies not using herbal remedies. They will not use it, yeah? But I think people are getting wise. You know, you can start seeing CBD oil going out there now. You're talking about mushrooms. There's got to come a point where they're going to have to, someone's going to have to go, right, fucking enough's enough. There is other ways we can do it, and they've got better results, and you're not poisoning your fucking, your organs at the same time.
Well, I think it's got to happen ground up. That's why we've all got to just do it ourselves and educate ourselves and spread knowledge between us, because these fucking billionaires aren't going to wake up and think, all right, let's just start being nice now. Do you know what I mean? And I call me a cynic, but at the end of the day, it's like, do these people have your health or their pocket interest? Yeah. And that's what you need to ask yourself. So and that's why we need to educate ourselves. And do you know what I'm saying? That's why just go to your doctor, listen to what they tell you, and then go and research it. We're in this beautiful time of history that we've got the internet, and all the information we need is in front of us. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Just go and do your own research. I'm not saying that there aren't beautiful things that can be achieved with the modern advancements of medicine, but what I'm saying is there are often herbal, natural remedies which are alternatives to these, big pharmaceutical, synthetically manufactured medicines that we are given. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's been a deep conversation, bro. I wasn't expecting this. I thought it was rock and roll, sex, drugs. It took another level, another dimension. What a brilliant, interesting conversation. To open up to people's minds to research, because I like what you just said, that we're connected to the fucking world. You can find people that's tried things all around the world. You've got more option to make your own mind up as well, and to look into different drugs and different results of different cultures, whatever. So yeah, it's amazing that we've got the internet now, and it's true that there is herbal remedies, and they do fucking have their good points as well as It's like I say, it's like everything. You overdo anything too long, it's gonna be bad. Eat your meat to fucking to running too far. You can run too far. Yeah,
of course.
The most marathon runners, man. They went at 50 on fucking knee replacement. I love him. Yeah.
If you don't Goggins, you listen properly. But at the same time, as much as I love him, I don't idolise him, because I feel like he's got serious emotional baggage he probably needs to deal with.
Yeah, so
he's great for training motivation, but he seems like a very spiritually imbalanced human being.
Does, mate.
So again, do you know what I mean? Like, observe it for what it is. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
I like what he does to take it to that extreme. You're right. He's got to have something. It might be his therapy. He's happy. Yeah. But I mean, you must have something else to do.
Well, he broke the pull-up world record. The same. I mean, what a psychopath! What a psychopath! It will send you crazy and back. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, no, fair play to him though. Fair play to him.
Fair play to him. He took it to another level, fitness and.
Unreal. One of the most inspiring discoveries I've ever made, David Goggins. Yeah, definitely.
The chestnut syndrome.
No, what's that?
That's fucking brilliant. I come across one. If you go on YouTube, look up for David Goggins chestnut syndrome. He just makes me laugh. Like he's out running and he's doing a 100-mile run, and someone's on the bike with him or something. And he goes, I got this fucking email today from a guy called Brad. And Brad's a 34-year-old man who's hit a low point in his life, and he's feeling down. He said, how do I overcome this, this low self-worth and that? And he goes, you know what, Brad, you got a fucking high dose of chestnut syndrome. And he goes, when you're a boy, your nuts fall in your fucking sack. But throughout life, Brad, they start to retract back up to like anxieties, depression, insecurities. He went, and life's kicking you down. They end up in your fucking chest, he goes. And this is chestnut syndrome. What you gotta do, Brad, is bang your fucking chest, let those nuts drop back in your sack, and man the fuck up.
Sick. He's sick. He's real. He's absolutely
up. It's brilliant.
I remember I just.
You got a certain world part. I mean, he's good for some people, but some people.
But yeah, I drove. I took a road trip to Amsterdam by myself. just a little soul searching weekend. Do you know what I mean? And then I discovered him on the way there driving. I went there and I ran further and over.
It was sick.
Yeah, it was sick.
I like when he says you look at your trainers near the door every morning. Do you think right? Of course I fucking don't.
Yeah.
Because when I back my demons and I'm like, I feel when I walk back in. So it's true, isn't it?
100%.
But yeah, Scotty, listen, mate. It's been a real opener with the mushrooms.
Yeah.
So, that folks, when I pick that one, I really appreciate it.
Sweet, bruv.
For Manor, keep your eyes open, get downloading, listening.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Appreciate it,
fella. Sweet, bruv.
Thank you. And we'll see you back next week at the MindKite Podcast. Thank you very much.